Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Tuesday, which means it's a Jason Sukamel day. And we're not going to talk as much recruiting today because there's not really much going on, Jason. But it seems like all the horses in the barn. Like
we're like 3 weeks away from signing day. And we're like, there's not a whole lot going on. But yeah.
It's so anticlimactic for me, Jason. And it's kind of like I know it has to happen, but Texas, Georgia is right here. That's closer. That's upon us. And I kind of want to start off maybe talking a little bit more about that. And I wanted to do it anyway, Jason, but I was confused because I read your 3-2-1, and I'm like, wait a second.
That's your first mistake, Anwar. Your first mistake.
So I read your column, your 3-2-1, and it's interesting, Jason, because I could have sworn on Sunday I had asked staff members to help me contribute to a piece, and the only person who thought might run the table over the last 2 games was Cody.
Of course, Cody did. Cody never picks Texas to lose anything, but yes.
Well, that's probably true too, right? So there's that. And you went 2-1. Then I read your 3-2-1, and you kind of seem to go back to in the time machine. So you clearly have changed yourself in a couple of days. Let's start the general stuff, Jason. Do you believe Texas is going to run the table? Do you think they're going to win the next 3 games?
Well, let me back up a minute. You asked for us to submit those like on Thursday or Friday, right? So that was like 5 days ago. I was like, man, my mind not changed like 100 times between now and Saturday. And I did pick Texas to lose to Georgia and then win Arkansas and Texas A&M. Well, when I was writing my 3-2-1, sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard to come up with a prediction. I mean, how many guys can I predict? Oh, this guy's going to commit to Texas. This guy's. So I was like, I was looking back at my old predictions, and right almost exactly a month ago, coming out of the Oklahoma game, I predicted Texas to win their next 5 games.
I
think that's right, 5 games. And then I said, then we'll see A&M. I said, I'm not predicting them to win A&M, but I'm going to predict them to win out up until the A&M game, including the Georgia game. So it kind of got my wheel. And I also predicted that A&M was going to win out and be undefeated coming into that Texas game. So I was like, holy shit, maybe I was onto something 5 weeks ago. So I said, you know what? F it, Anwar. I was in a good mood last night, a positive mood. I don't know why, but I was like, I'm going to stick to my guns.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick Texas to win against Georgia and then Arkansas. And I think A&M is going to win out. And I'm going to kind of run this prediction back.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Like my head tells me, and you and I talked about this, I think, I don't remember, on the podcast or something. My head tells me, hey, they're going to Georgia on the road. Texas hasn't been good on the road. Kirby Smart has had Sark's number to some degree. Beat him twice last year. Georgia kind of looks like the better team on paper for the most part. Texas is up and down. Georgia is too, to some degree. But then I'm like, this is a very beatable Georgia team. I mean, they did against Mississippi State what good teams do, but they barely beat Florida. They haven't looked dominant at times. Texas, I think, is a more desperate team. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to stick my neck out. What the hell? I'm picking Texas to win the next 3 games Anwar. And then, that would obviously include A&M. That would put them in the championship game.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start with this week. What was Vanderbilt all you needed to see, Jason, for you to say, I think that's it? Did Vanderbilt cure everything for you as far, or you're saying Oklahoma was it? I'm kind of curious because here's the thing, Jason. Like when we say Georgia looks like a very beatable team, if you're Georgia, you say the same thing about Texas, right? You say the exact same thing. You're like, this is a beatable team, and hell, Florida beat them, and that's one of the worst teams in the conference. So give me like a breakdown of that, Jason, or like some of the thought process.
Well, it's certainly not the Oklahoma game, because then they went out and went to overtime against Florida and Mississippi State, right? So that had me second guessing my prediction. But I do feel like, Anwar, they found something against Vanderbilt. And for me, it's as simple as, and maybe I'm oversimplifying this. There's a pretty good chance I am. But for me, it's as simple as Cole Hudson at left guard. That seemed to kind of fix their offensive line problems for one game. I get it. And we said the same thing after the Oklahoma game. Like, well, okay, that offensive line figured something out. Well, Cole Hudson at left guard, Connor Robertson at center. For one game, it gets a pretty good Vanderbilt front. I was like, okay, where's that been all year? If they can do that and protect Arch and give Arch time to actually go through his progressions and not be running for his life, I think that is a huge plus for this team. So, yes, I do think in a weird kind of way, Vanderbilt kind of sold me on this team being back. Now, I've been duped before by this team. So, I'm saying that with cautious optimism, if you will. But to answer your question, yeah, Vanderbilt did give me a lot of confidence. Not necessarily just, oh, hey, they won the game and, they barely won, but they opened up a big lead and dominated for most of the game. Well, yes, but more, if I'm specifically kind of dialing it in, more because of what I saw from that offensive line. And the defense is getting much more healthy. If that offensive line can play what it did against Vanderbilt, if the defense gets healthy and doesn't give up that fourth quarter collapse like it did against Vanderbilt, yeah, I think this is a SEC. I almost said Big 12 championship. Oh my gosh, this is an SEC championship caliber team. Absolutely.
So here's the deal, Jason. I agree with you on the defense, right? I am totally with you as relates to that. You tell me Michael Taft is going to be back, Jelani McDonald's going to be back. Like Stark talked about that yesterday, right? You tell me that guy is going to be back. I can tell myself this defense will be better with Michael Taft in it. Like we both can tell ourselves that. Like it'll be better. It'll be better with Jelani McDonald. And it's interesting, Jason. Like I know I'm almost willing to give this defense a mulligan for the past couple of games because I know what this defense can be. Like we know when it push comes to shove, could be the same defense that we saw against Ohio State or against an Oklahoma, right? Hell, to Kentucky to a certain degree, right? I mean, it was, they did their part versus Kentucky for a long period of time. But what's interesting to me, though, Jason, you start talking about the offense and the offensive line, and we haven't gotten to your matchups yet, right? We haven't gotten there. It's interesting now, Georgia. I'm still worried, Jason. Like I still got that PTSD from last year where at times we saw that Georgia defensive line just having their way with the Texas offensive line. And I know there's some new faces, but that gives me pause, Jason. What gives me pause is, okay, it's like Kentucky wasn't known for getting after the quarterback. And I know this is before the change, and all of a sudden they look like the Steel Curtain defense, right? And so I understand things have changed, but do you think that change is enough against Georgia and the athletes that we know that they're going to have on that side of the ball?
First off, thank you for the Steel Curtain reference. I made my Steeler heart.
Got to give you something to be happy about.
Sark said it yesterday. He's like, hey, the names change, but the players look the same. They play the same, right? It's still Georgia. They recruit the same types of players, the same caliber of players. They got after it last week against Mississippi State. They haven't racked up a lot of sacks this year as a whole. Georgia hasn't, but they got after it last week a little bit. Do I think Texas is going to suddenly hold off an aggressive Georgia defense and march up and down the field, and Arch is going to come out of that game, without hitting the turf? No, absolutely not. I think if Texas wins this game, I think it's going to have to be kind of one of those ugly it up type games, 23-21, 20-17, whatever. I don't think it's going to be 38-35. So yeah, I mean, that Georgia defense is going to have success. It's full of good players. It's full of 5-star athletes. But yeah, I think this offensive line can hold up well enough. I mean, Texas has to be able to run the ball. We saw that, I keep saying last week, but against Vanderbilt, they have to be able to run the ball well enough to stay ahead of the chains. Okay, you can't be getting yourselves in 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 11, and it needs to be 2nd and 6 or 3rd and 4, those types of things. But yeah, I think this it's a good Georgia defense. It's been an inconsistent Texas offense, that's maybe being kind. It's been a bad Texas offense at times. But, yeah, I do think that this offense can hold up well enough against a good Georgia defense. Maybe not a dominant Georgia defense, but I think they can hold up well enough to win. But like you said, the Texas defense has to show up. It has to do its part. It can't do what it did in the fourth quarter against Vanderbilt. It can't do what it did for much of the game against Mississippi State or what it did against Florida. Texas defense is going to have to show up and do its part for sure, because I don't think this offense is going to race up and down the field against a pretty good Georgia defense.
So if all things are equal from a talent perspective, right? And again, I know there may be, look, we're not going to do a super blue chip conversation because that's a Jeff Ketchum thing that can last like 30 to 40 minutes, right? So we're not going to go that far, but we're going to say for the most part that the talent level is going to be pretty equal when it's all said and done. Your money is on Sark versus Kirby. Your money is going to be on Sark to say, okay, I'll break this 2-game losing streak if it's just mano a mano, coach versus coach.
I guess so, which is probably playing against the odds. I mean, Kirby, not only has Georgia beaten Texas, I mean, Kirby has outcoached Sark. I mean, he's kept Texas offense in check. So again, I don't think Texas is going to win this game 38-35. I don't think Sark, and with all due respect to Sark, I don't think he has some plan where Texas is going to just have all these big plays and have a bunch of 80-yard drives. I think it's going to be largely dependent on the defense and maybe a turnover, a special teams play. But yeah, I think Sark is able to kind of get that monkey off of his back, if you will. I mean, we make it sound like Kirby has owned Sark for like 6-7 years, the way sometimes Stoops did Mac Brown. I mean, yeah, they beat him twice last year, and both were big games. But hey, at some point, I'm a big believer that you flip a coin 100 times, it's probably going to be close to 50-50. At some point, some of these bounces have to even out. So I think maybe at some point, maybe this is the time where it evens out in Sark's favor. And yeah, I mean, listen, Sark's taken some heat this year, deservedly so. I mean, including, we've talked about it. I mean, for maybe he needs an offensive play caller. Does he have too much on his plate? Is he not the offensive genius everybody thought he was? And but Sark still knows more about football than me, you, and everybody watching this combined times 10. Okay, so I still believe in Sark as an offensive play caller, play designer, especially if he can get in rhythm and get in rhythm early. So yeah, I think Sark has it in him to outsmart and outcoach Kirby Smart.
I mean, here's the thing is, Jason, the bar is not knowing more football than Anwar Richardson or Jason Sukamel. The bar should be, I got to know more football than Kirby Smart, right? Like, let's just, I know my role, Jason. For Sark to say, I know more than you, I'm like, well, duh. Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I know more about journalism than you, right? So and I can, in the writing and the crafting and all those other, and hanging leads and all these other transitional stuff. Like, I know that. So, there is that. So let's do this, Jason. I'll give you Georgia in our conversation. I'll give you Georgia. All right. So the stars aligned, went into a hostile environment, picked it up. Then I'll give you Arkansas, because Arkansas is not that good. Probably one of
they're not, but I keep telling everybody, like, listen, I mean, we're all going to pick Texas to win that game, right? But Arkansas is still dangerous enough that you have to pay attention to it. With that
100%. Like, they're not a pushover, right? They're an SEC program, but it's going to be at home. Yeah. And Texas has played better at home than they have on the road. The A&M, though. And look, I know where Longhorn plays. This is Orange Blood, so on and so forth, right? A&M should beat South Carolina this upcoming weekend, barring something catastrophic. They have Samford at that point. At that point, A&M's looking at an 11-0 season. And we can say, well, who have they beat? Right? That's the conversation that people want to have, Texas fans want to have. My only retort to that is, doesn't matter, because we never thought that they would be anything special when it's all said and done. We thought this was an 8-win team. So if I thought this was a middle-of-the-road team, I can't then knock them when they actually exceed my expectations. Because at the end of the day, I would not expect them to beat a lot of these teams. Would you jump to, okay, when it's all said and done, Texas beats Texas A&M at the end of the season to complete your three-peat?
Well, technically, I've only predicted them to beat Georgia and Arkansas, because my prediction said they'll go into A&M and A&M will be undefeated. But I do think they'll go 3-0 if they beat Georgia. I predicted them to beat A&M when we contributed to the Sunday Pulpit. I said, hey, I think they'll beat A&M because their backs will be against the wall. A&M will be in the playoff at that point. Texas probably, I don't know, they'd probably be in it with a win over Georgia and Arkansas, but not necessarily. Texas, again, would have more to play for. It's at home. Mm-hmm. I think you and I have been saying all along, hey, this is a good A&M team, right?
Yes.
That's just kind of poo-pooed. I'm like, they're not that good. They haven't played anybody. Like, no, I watch them, dude. They're a pretty good football team. Do I think they're number 3 in the country good? Kind of like what I felt about Oklahoma when Texas beat Oklahoma. I'm like, I don't remember what Oklahoma was ranked, like 6 or 7 or something like that when they played. I'm like, they're not that good. Is A&M 3rd in the country good? Well, maybe, because it's a weird year in college football, and there aren't like any really a bunch of truly dominant teams. But I don't think they're a great team by any means. They have had, they had the nice win, obviously at Notre Dame, big win. They've had an incredibly fortunate schedule in the SEC, but they've taken care of business. Like you said, hey, they've done what good teams do when opportunities like that present itself. But yeah, I just think at home, Texas has everything to play for in that game. I think Texas, and actually, Omar, I looked yesterday. I was a little surprised. I was surprised Texas, and maybe it's changed, but Texas yesterday was 6.5-point underdogs this weekend in Athens. I was like, whoa, that's a little bit bigger number than I thought. And then I looked at for whatever it's worth, the ESPN
projection thing. Yeah.
And Texas was projected like, I don't remember, 60-40-ish to win the A&M game. And I was like, oh, that kind of surprised me as well. I thought the computers and everything else would have A&M as the predicted winner of that game. But so, yeah, I mean, listen, that's going to be a really tough game because A&M is a good team, but it's a rivalry game. You're at home, everything on the line for Texas. If Texas gets by Georgia and then Arkansas, I absolutely will pick Texas to win that game.
So, Jason, what do you think is more likely with 3 games left as relates to Texas? Texas makes the SEC championship game, or Texas makes the playoffs?
Boy, that's a good question. Let's see.
Thank you. I should do this for a living.
Yeah. First rodeo. I have to stop and think about that one. I probably would go with Texas making the playoffs, which would put them at 9-3 in the playoffs. Right. I mean, listen, if we're playing the odds, if I'm in Vegas and you're making me pick one of those and put $100 down, I'm picking Texas to make the playoffs at 9-3 over Texas being 10-2, because the odds. Listen, what I'm saying is Texas beating Georgia. The odds are not in Texas's favor. They're almost a touchdown underdog for a reason, right? So,
yeah,
I would probably say the more likely outcome of those 2 scenarios would be Texas in the playoffs at 9-3. And honestly, it's not the worst scenario for Texas. I get it. You want to play for the conference championship. You want to win the conference championship. Every player on Texas would tell you that. Sark would tell you that. But hey, having that off week to not have to play in Alabama or whoever, Texas A&M again, or whoever it might be, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have that kind of have an off week going into the playoffs.
Because here's the other thing, Jason. Alabama, Ole Miss, do you see any of these teams losing? Alabama. Now, listen, somebody in the comments posted this a little bit earlier, and I thought it was pretty funny. It was Rude Wayne says, if OU beats Bama, I'm done watching college football this season. Does Bama lose another game in the regular season, in your opinion? They've got Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn left. Oklahoma is the only real threat to them. Ole Miss, they've got Florida, horrible program, and Mississippi State left. And by the way, we'll have to have a DJ Lagway getting bench conversation on another day. But, so Ole Miss probably doesn't lose another game. Texas, you already have them down. That's what it looks like, Jason. Unless you think Alabama loses to Oklahoma, it seems like there's a way that Texas might get boxed out, but there's also a way to be maybe a three-way tie. But the main question is, do you see Alabama or Ole Miss losing any games?
I don't. I don't actually. So that would, if Texas was to win out, Alabama won out, and Ole Miss won out. They'd all have one loss in conference play, correct?
Well, Alabama doesn't have any losses. So if Alabama wins out,
That's
they're
right.
in.
Yes, I was
The
thinking
only undefeated conference teams are Texas A&M and Alabama.
Yeah, so it'd be Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Texas would have one loss. Yeah, you're right. Alabama lost.
So A&M would be out, but by virtue of the tiebreaker head to head, right? So A&M and Georgia would be technically out, and that will leave Ole Miss and Texas, I guess.
Those are Chad Hastings tiebreakers questions. That shit. We'll figure it out. All that smarter people figure that out if we get there.
But how about this? Does Alabama beat Oklahoma this weekend?
I think so. I mean, listen, it's at Alabama. Then again, I didn't think Oklahoma had much of a chance at all to beat Tennessee when we saw what happened there. I mean, this is, again, a good Oklahoma defense and Alabama offense that didn't set the world on fire last week against LSU, right? So, I mean, it's just a weird year, Anwar. Like, normally we're like, oh, Alabama is going to run the table for sure, or a couple years. Georgia's so far and away above everybody else in the conference or maybe the country. I don't feel that way about any team in the SEC this year. If you told me to pick on any given week that there are 7 teams in the conference that could beat Alabama, I'd say, okay, I get it. Probably not going to happen, but I can certainly make a case for any of those 7 teams to beat Alabama. Oklahoma is one of those 7 teams. So do I think Alabama beats Oklahoma this week? Absolutely. Would it shock me? Would I come back next week and say, oh my gosh, in my wildest dreams, I never saw Oklahoma winning that game? No, I mean, it's a winnable game for Oklahoma. I don't expect it to happen, but it's a winnable game. Ole Miss, I don't see Ole Miss losing either of their remaining games. So, I would think Ole Miss has a pretty good path to being in that championship game.
A couple more things, Jason. Tonight, when the playoffs occur, and then playoff rankings reveal it. I'm sorry, I looked at Chad's message that came through, so kind of threw me off. I hate teams.
Yeah, I always forget to mute it when we're live.
It's like it's just like I'm conscious that I try not to send anything on teams when I know people are doing shows, but it just doesn't feel.
Today at noon, you and I are going to ping Chad and catch nonstop on teams.
No, we're on the podcast.
The podcast. We ping ourselves.
We gotta organize that chaos on Thursday. Yeah. What do you think? Where do you think Texas is? You feel like there's enough losses that puts Texas in the the top 12, and I don't mean rankings. I mean like in the brackets. You feel like that Texas is in there, and do you feel like there's probably Notre Dame probably doesn't probably stays the same? But what do you think happens tonight? Do you think there's gonna be any surprises?
I don't have the rankings pulled up. BYU was ahead of Texas last year, right?
Last week, yes.
Or last week, yeah. So they'll fall out. So in theory, yes, I would think Texas moves into that, possibly that last spot in.
BYU lost. Virginia lost. I'm trying to see who somebody must have deleted my stuff from last week because I had this in here. And then someone came through.
But Virginia, okay, I'm looking. Virginia was 14th last week. BYU was 7th. I mean, I think Texas should move into the top 10, which, if I'm not mistaken, they were the first team out last week, and BYU and Texas Tech were both in, correct? Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So BYU would fall out. I would think Texas will slide in. So that's what I'm expecting. I think Texas gets in tonight. The big question to me, Anwar, is if Texas splits one of these games against Georgia and Texas A&M, obviously beats Arkansas, does 9-3 get Texas in? I don't know who they'd have to get in over. It might be a BYU type team or, Oklahoma. I think they'd get in over Oklahoma, assuming Oklahoma loses this week. So I personally think 9-3 gets Texas in. There's a lot of dominoes that still have to fall. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
BYU losing, Virginia lost last week. Yeah,
Yeah, Virginia
Virginia.
lost to Wake Forest.
Yeah,
I
so I
think
mean,
if that's
some
correct.
kind of pieces fell into place that could help Texas. I think 9-3 gets Texas in over maybe even a 10-2 type team from a lesser conference.
Yeah, like a Big 12-ish or something to that effect. But I don't know. The thing is, Ketch and I talked about this yesterday. Jason, the thing that scares me is if Texas loses this upcoming weekend, they gain no points by beating Arkansas. But I think in the eyes of committee won't do anything unless it's like 80-2, something crazy like that. But that's not going to happen, right? So and then it puts them in a must-win versus Texas A&M. And then I know that you could say, well, they had 3 top 10 wins. That should be enough to in the committee. I just don't trust this committee, Jason. I feel like there's some things that logically make sense. Then there's other things that I think they go by the eyeball test. And when they go by the eyeball test and they use all these subjective things, Jason, I'm like, who the hell knows, right? Right? Because in my mind, I still feel like Texas should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame at this moment. But I also think that, certain things, I think them losing to Florida and having close, wins against Kentucky and Mississippi State probably puts them as like a little bit of a disadvantage. So, but we'll see what happens last night. Hey, Jason, real quick, last thing we'll get out of here. Why don't you pull up your power rankings? I'm going to show you mine. I think we're pretty similar in our train of thoughts here, Jason.
Okay. Okay. I got mine.
I think 1 through 5, Jason. Are we pretty much the same? I got Alabama, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas. Is that about the same as us? As
exactly. Yep. It's exactly what I have. Yep.
Then I think we flipped Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, correct?
We did. I had Oklahoma 6, Vandy 7. I still think Vandy's a really good team, but they barely beat Auburn last week. So I gave Oklahoma the slight nod over Vandy,
which is fine to me. And it's funny, Jason. I feel like, yeah. Did you have Tennessee at 8 as well?
I did, and I have Missouri at 9. I have LSU at 10. I have Kentucky at 11. Mississippi State at 12, and then we get a little difference. But who gives a shit at those last?
Well, honestly, Jason, I really don't care. I actually don't care about teams 8 through 16, if I'm just being quite honest with you.
I tend to agree.
But I definitely don't care. I definitely don't care about 10 through 16.
Yeah.
These teams, all those teams suck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You said you don't care 8 through 16. I still think Tennessee's a good football team on any given week. I think Missouri, if their quarterback was healthy, is a pretty good football team. 10 through 16, I'm with you. Like, don't care. Put them in any order you want, and I won't argue with you.
Well, one of the reasons I don't care about Tennessee is that they're 6-3, 3-3 in the conference, and that to me means they have nothing postseason wise to where they're just a bowl team at this moment. So that's why I don't care about them. I feel like 1 through 7, those are teams that are still in the playoff hunts. That's why I don't care about them.
Yeah. I'm shocked that our rankings are so similar. I'll be curious to see what the rest of the Orange Bloods crew looks like when they submit theirs. So
yeah. So anyway, I think we're pretty much in unison, lockstep there, Jason. Anything else, Jason, before I let you get out of here?
No. I just hope for my sake and Orange Bloods, Longhorn Nation, that my prediction comes true. And who knows? Like I said, dude, I may change my mind again by Friday. I do my matchups. I'll start working on those tomorrow on where I may come back and be like, nope, I'm picking Georgia by 14. So, but right now, man, I'm feeling positive vibes. So picking Texas to win this week.
Well, the only thing I would say, Jason, is that probably should have been reflected in your power rankings. If you feel like Texas is the better team in Georgia, you probably should have had.
Yeah, I can't give them. Listen, I got to be objective in my rankings. I can't put them above Georgia based on what we've seen. Can they beat Georgia? Yeah, but I'm not going to put Texas above Georgia until they beat them. If they beat them, yeah, they'll be above them next.
But you're going to predict Texas to beat Georgia.
Yeah, but I said if they played that game 10. Wait a second. But if they played that game 10 times, I'd probably pick Georgia 7. So I don't know. I mean, I think neutral field, all things being equal, probably Georgia. But I think Texas backs against the wall. They're healthy, desperate. I'm picking. Yeah, I said at the very top of the show. I'm kind of going against what my brain tells me on Martin. I'm picking Texas against what I've seen. But well, it's kind of like the Vanderbilt game. You and I, we picked Vandy, and we were wrong. I was
yeah.
my brain tells me Vanderbilt's played better football going into that game, and they had. But Texas had their number that day.
Yeah, no, hey, you know what? At least we own our L's. Like nobody else seems to own their L's. Everyone else just doubles down on their L's, and at least we're like, well, we were wrong, and we're like, we're the only people on the staff that do that. All right, Jason, get out of here. I know we got meetings and podcasts and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. All right, I'll see you soon.
Appreciate the dude, Jason Sukamel. At some point, we'll do recruiting with him, and when. But right now, haven't been a ton of things. All the horses in the barn as relates to recruiting. Some guys decommit, but at the end of the day, kind of is what it is. Brad G asked me, does a 10-2 South Florida, shout out Alnor, get in over a 9-3 Texas? No. So they're not even reflected in the rankings, Brad. So there'll be one group of 5 team that gets in right now. It's trending towards James Madison. Might be that team, but my Bulls. Hopefully they got it. Hopefully they got a good bowl game. Where's the Bahamas Bowl? That's and appreciate it, Vivek. I take my L's. I don't like to have a ton of them, but I do take the L's. I don't mind saying like I take an L. And Sherman's right. USF only get in for the automatic G5 spot. Outside of that, shout out to my Bulls. I'm glad they're good, but you know what's going to happen. Someone's going to hire the coach away. The team will go back into to be absolutely obsolete. They'll be obsolete, and that's about it. That's it. And yes, Brad C, that is the elephant in the room, which is as relates to USF. They beat Florida, a team that Texas could not. And that, to me, when we start talking about quality wins and bad losses, that Florida loss just looks worse and worse, especially since Kentucky dragged Florida, drug them. I gotta be careful. But especially if that happens now. I hate that. I don't want a committee to be in the room weighing Texas versus another person, and then they say that happened. That's why I feel like you got to beat Georgia. It has some recency bias as relates to that, because if you lose to Georgia, you beat Arkansas and you beat A&M, but hell, there's ways to explain the A&M loss. I don't know. I just rather Texas not be in that situation. Just quite honest with you. And Vivek said, "How do you feel about A&M?" I mean, they'll be undefeated headed into Texas. I think it's a better team than we give them credit for. I think what we have to stop doing is we have to stop looking at other teams and say, well, look at those flaws. They're not that perfect. It's like, well, we can say the same thing about Texas, because that's what they'll say about Texas. They'll say they're not that perfect and look at the losses. So I feel like they're a good team. I don't think they're the number 1 team in the nation. But are they a good team? Like, yeah, sure, they're a good team. Like they're one of the better teams in the country, and that's only because there aren't dominant teams. Like, I don't know, and even Sark mentioned this yesterday. I don't know if we're going to just see that Alabama just dominant team where everybody just runs over someone. The transfer portal's the great equalizer. NIL's a great equalizer. This is hard. You got guys hop off of teams, hop on the teams. NIL affects it. So I don't think we'll at 100% see that. Heath says, what do you say? What are you talking about, Heath? Let me see what Heath talking about. He's talking about the Florida loss. Good morning to you, Heath, by the way. The Florida loss won't matter if we beat Georgia and A&M. 100% agree. Let me see what else you said. That's 4 top 10 wins in the season. The committee will only care about that. Yes, 100%. Heath, 100%. If they run the table, it doesn't matter. Even if Texas doesn't make the playoffs or whatever, not the playoffs, they don't make the SEC championship game, they'll make the playoffs. 10-2, all those wins. Just a matter of is Texas hosting, which they probably would, more than anything else. No, you'll be in there. And yes, yes, the only semi-flawed. Look at y'all. What did y'all wake up and eat for breakfast this morning? Look at all my smart, educated folks in the chats. The only semi-flawless team is Ohio State. I feel like, let me tell you, Vivek, Sherman, Tex Blonde, Ben G, all of y'all, Brad C, all of y'all in the chats here, Eric, everybody. Look at y'all. Kudos to y'all for being observant, paying attention. This is what makes y'all the best fans that are out there, because y'all beat the average fans in your knowledge of sports. Like y'all go ahead and do it. I like it when the women do it as well, because I see them on X. We're done, by the way. We're done. But I see them on X, and guys like to challenge their sports knowledge, and it's like they know more on their pinky than these idiots who challenge their sports knowledge is concerned. So it is funny to me. And Tex Blind, you really get into a lot of wars with people, by the way. Golly, anytime I see you, you fight with somebody. I know you defending yourself, but anytime I see something, I'm like, I have to go back and read the thread. I'm like, somebody said something about somebody's mama got a mustache. Like, what's going on? Like, she is like the No Limit Cash Money about it. If you hadn't seen that was fun. It was a few weeks ago. Check it out. All right, though. That's it. Let's get out of here. I'll be back Modcast noon, and then actually Modcast noon, we're gonna do Ketch and I do a reaction show to the playoff stuff tonight. I'll be here. So he did with Chad. So I'm going to be doing reaction. So actually, I'm going to be on this channel all day long. So don't go anywhere. I'm 10 toes down today. All right. But you know what I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. Man, I'm going to go in the garage, man. I'm going to the attic. It's time to pull out some Christmas decorations. I'm going to get this house a little jazzy. So I'm going to do that and kill some time in between this and the Modcast. Y'all take care. Live each day like it was last. One day it will be. Go out, do something nice for yourself. Do something special for yourself, because you absolutely deserve it. Treat yourself to a nice lunch. Buy yourself a candle. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is that you feel like you like to do for yourself, do something nice for yourself, because you absolutely